Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's live webinar. I'm Dr. Shasta Dickey from New Division Business Consortium. And as you know that we are having some technical issues with the restream. I have asked them several times to fix these issues, but it's not fixed. So when I'm going live, it's difficult for me to add that channel rightfully. So they have changed the UI and it's creating some problems. So my request would be Restream to fix this error because otherwise people they're going live and they will struggle. So I had to struggle. So thank you for joining today's live webinar. We have some special guests today to talk about, and we're going to be discussing building the courage. And I will add our special guest. First is Adam. Hello, Adam. And
Hello.
I have Thomas. Hello, Thomas. So
Hello.
thank you very much for both of you for joining this live webinar. And as you know that New Division Business Consortium, we support specifically New Division businesses and as well as in the local businesses and national and international, depends on what we do. But specifically today, we have built this webinar to talk about Save a Warrior. Those you don't know about Save a Warrior, we will discuss about that in detail. Thomas, Adam, and Thomas are working enormously to support veterans, and I'm really grateful that I can have this program with you today. So before I jump into questionnaire, I just wanted to ask Adam if you could introduce yourself to the audience. And then Thomas, if you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Thank you. I will. Yeah, my name's Adam Gornall, and I'm the CEO of Save a Warrior in the UK. And I've been in this coaching game for many years now. I was a veteran myself. I am a veteran myself and served with the Marines for 10 years. And upon leaving, eventually ended up training as a coach, hypnotherapist, and then putting together Save a Warrior in the UK to assist veterans and first responders who are struggling with suicidality.
Thank you, Adam. Thomas, if you could introduce yourself.
Certainly. Well, thanks for having us on. And so my name's Thomas. I am a veteran of the Royal Air Force Regiment and served 14 years. And since leaving the military, have essentially started to work for myself in sales and marketing. But it hasn't been a plain exit and plain sailing from exiting out the military into civilian life, and it's presented quite a few transitional challenges, which led me to discovering the work of Save a Warrior and started my journey to assist Adam and bringing it to the shores of the UK.
Thank you. In our community, we think about war. We think about a lot of individual things. My first question would be to Adam, and as well as Thomas, if you can contribute to that question, like why you have come up with this idea, because there are lots of other things to do to support individuals, but why suicide prevention? Why is the core motivation for that? I think our audiences need to know your core motivation to understand your settings better. Adam.
Yeah. So the core motivations for me are speaking into really what Thomas mentioned there, those transitional challenges, and they can be varied, they can be many, but veterans, being a veteran myself, I also struggle with that transitional process. And I tried to create a program many years ago that would support veterans transitioning from the military into civilian life. And there's many reasons why it is a challenge for veterans. But I wasn't able to really provide something that I would be comfortable or proud of, or feel that it was the best that I could do, because I felt I was missing something. There was something missing. And what I came to realize after developing my own skills as a hypnotherapist, doing inner child work and various other things, I came to realize that there was something missing about the veteran who's really struggling, in particular with his mental health. And I went on a journey to figure out what that thing was. And it wasn't until I came across Save a Warrior in America, that had been doing this for 10 years at the time, that they called it the thing under the thing. And the thing under the thing gave me the answers. And I won't go into the program details right now, but it gave me essentially the answers that I was looking for, that I knew something was missing in how we were supporting our veterans in the UK. I knew there was something missing. I knew that it wasn't just as simple as PTSD is what you've got, here's some drugs, and then you'll be fine. That is not how we were supporting or able to support our veterans well. And so anyway, long story short, I realized that these guys had been doing it for 10 years. They'd found a solution to veterans in particular, and also first responders, police and fire. And I then immediately realized that this is what is needed in the UK. And so I was then motivated to bring that to the UK as quickly as possible. And we've been on that journey for a number of years, a couple of years now. This year being our first, in October, our first British cohort. So, you know, that was the thing. It was trying to solve the thing under the thing.
That's a great way to contribute to the veteran, I would say, because you know that as a neurodivergent person having mental health problems and a lot of other things, when you go to a clinician in the UK, they will give you medication and maybe other things to do, but actually the work you are doing for veterans is like moral support, and the way you train them, I think that will transform the veterans or many other people in differently. So I think there is a clear motivation here to support individuals, and the gaps you have identified will transform a lot of people. So Thomas, why did you join Adam, or why did you bring this? You might have your own way of telling your story.
Yeah, but it certainly it came about quite quickly. There was essentially a couple of months period prior to October 22 when I discovered Save a Warrior through Adam's LinkedIn webinar, much similar to a situation like this. I stumbled across the invite for it and attended as I was in the audience. Around that time, I just quit drinking. I was being honest with myself, the fact that there was a problem that I needed to address. I couldn't quite at that time put my finger on what was wrong or what was going on, but I just knew that I wasn't looking after myself and taking care of myself. And through looking at the description and the synopsis of Save a Warrior and reading around the subject, and knowing what I know now, I know that if I said they get down to business quick, that kind of alludes to how it operates and how it works. I went through 18 weeks of cognitive behavior therapy to try and come to terms with my PTSD from the military. And it was 18 weeks, and every week there was an hour where it scratched the itch and I'd agitate all of this emotion, and actually made me feel quite, didn't make me feel great. And then there was like a week gap until the next hour, and I didn't feel or see the progression. The trick to Save a Warrior is that it just sort of, it brings that timeline right down to a very condensed 72 hours. And we're not afraid to get to that point real quickly about where the trauma actually stems from. And they're They're not just another professional passing over a business card to push the problem onto someone else. Once someone identifies themselves to us, the responsibility is with us. You know, we've been there, we've been through the program, we've healed using this program, and you know, we want to ensure that once they've come to us, they've built up that courage to ask for help, and we can help them realize that. So that, I'm hoping that kind of answers the question really that you asked, but it's that courage piece. We can help people just keep flying through all of those nerves and all of that disturbance within them that's telling them to run away and not actually keep leaning into the program and the text and the you know, the support which is within Save a Warrior.
Thank you, Tom. When you work with community, this question is going to be to Adam, that you might identify the gaps and how you constructed your program. Do you have any methodology? Can you share the methodology with our audiences, that how you identify the problems and then solve those problems to recover what you were intended to do?
So I missed the first bit. Did you say how do we identify the problems? Is
Yes,
that right?
a methodology. You might have a methodology to from beginning to the end. So how do you construct, or how do you work with individuals?
Right. So we're in the business of transformation. Ultimately, what they're going to experience is a transformation of how they see the world and themselves in it. And we have a little acronym that indicates or informs how people begin that transformation towards healing. And the acronym is HOW, H-O-W. The first letter H is honest. One has to be honest with themselves, as Tom said, and realize that they are suffering, and that they want to end that suffering.
Yes.
You got it, right? So that can be a journey for many people. That can take a long time, or it can take 2 minutes. That's the colorful beauty of life. It's varied, and there is no set thing or time, but you have to arrive at that place of being honest with yourself that you need support. The next one is and this, you know, it all kind of flows with this, but open. Are you open to see the world through a different perspective? So if somebody is open to see things differently, to do and be different in many ways, because what may be causing their suffering could be along the lines of being stuck in repeating cycles. And so are they open to possibility? Are they open to the possibility of seeing it differently, doing something differently, of transforming? And the next one is willing. Are they willing to put in the work? Are they willing to stay dedicated? Are they willing to come back for others once they've got their healing? And there's that willingness. And so if somebody is honest, open, and willing, that is how they begin their transformation. That's
really great. That's really great. Thank you for the explanation. And so we will talk about the courage and other things as a questionnaire. You know, understanding the courage is a broader thing, because most of us in the community, we don't know what is courage and what the true meaning of courage. So in relation, what courage truly means and how it, it manifests in our lives. Can you discuss that a little bit more? Because I think a lot of people in the community, they really don't understand what is really courage means.
Sure. Tom?
Yeah, go on, man. So courage, I sort of go back in time to my time within the RF regiment here, and one of the warrant officers I had at a particular period kept talking about courageous restraint, and at the time I was trying to sort of like pick to pieces what he actually meant by courageous restraint. And one day it got demonstrated or explained to us in good detail, but it's essentially having the courage to not follow through with a particular action. And at the time he was talking about lads, let's say not towing the line, or actually they were scrapping downtown. You know, having the courageous restraint to not do that thing. So that's where that stems from there. But in terms of where I see courage now, it can mean any number of things. You know, specifically for Save a Warrior, I went through multiple stages of a display of courage in order to just get to Save a Warrior's gate in Ohio. You know, first I had to build up the courage to say yes to attending the webinar that was hosted by Adam, and then actually saying yes to admitting that I had a problem, and I had to turn up to the rostering call with one of the guys that was, you know, had been through the program and wanted to talk to me about my unshareable problem, and then display the courage when he directly asked me. He said, well, if you do come to Save a Warrior, we're going to talk about these things here. Are you open to doing that? And saying yes, but actually following through and talking about these things. You know, it takes a lot of internal strength and will to, you know, publicly share and open up certain elements of your life that you said that you'd never tell anyone. And so there's one courage. Another one can be someone that is in a period of depression in their life, and just getting out of bed is hard work, and having to put on the shirt and go to work and sit there, that's another element. It's another display of courage in someone's working life. You know, so courage can mean so many different things for so many different people, where, you know, like opinions, we're all different. Everyone's got their own courageous act that they're going through. Some people see courage as storming the Normandy beaches as well. It's, of course that is, but for others the battle is very different, and it takes courage just to get out of bed in the morning.
Thank you, Tom. That was great to know. You know, we talk about courages, and we talk about mental health, and we talk about a lot of different things. Why it is specifically important for the veterans to engage with the activities that you are doing? What is the core motivation? Because and why you are? I know that you are working as a vet. You are working in the army and served different places. Why it is important for the veterans to understand your process and go through with the process? Because I can remember previously when I joined various other programs with Tom, he gave examples of the saving the lives and a lot of other things that you have done so far is crucial. If you could explain it to our audience, that why is it more important for you to develop this for the veterans?
Yeah, I'm going to come back to my understanding of courage in a moment, because I have quite a technical approach to courage, and it's nested in emotional literacy. Okay, I'm going to come back to that if I may afterwards. But just to answer your question directly, why is it important for veterans in particular to hear our work? I truly believe that Sabre Warriors methodologies are for the human condition. You see, I approach suicide as a spiritual problem, not a material problem. And so we offer a spiritual solution to that spiritual problem. And it just so happens that the guy who discovered it was a veteran himself and a police officer. And he had extraordinarily tragic experience growing up in a young age. He experienced things that typically Jasper wants to be part of the webinar.
Adam. Sorry, I muted Thomas. Yes, please. Carry on.
That's Jasper. He's always keen to be on the webinar. So he experienced things that really put him into a position of, if I don't solve these problems, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so that's one thing. It's for the human condition, but it so happens to be for veterans because, you know, veterans know veterans and we speak a same language, and we come under the archetype of what I call the sheepdog. You see, in society, we've got members of the public who are ordinary people, bricklayers, plumbers, doctors, who are going about their everyday life, nested in a society that's fairly stable. They want to pay their bills. They want to spend time with their family. They believe in working hard, getting things done. All right. That's what we would call general population. The archetype, it sounds a bit, I don't mean it to be demeaning, but the herd or the sheep, the flock, let's say the flock. Then you have on the other side of the wall, the wolves. The wolves are those that are doing things for themselves. They're the criminals. They're the darker side of society. And then you have on the wall, you have the sheepdogs. And there are particular type of people that fit into the archetype of the sheepdog that want to defend the people from the wolves. Okay. And to be standing on that wall takes a particular type of personality, person, certain backgrounds, and to stand up for what's right and to defend those that can't defend themselves, right? So those tend to be the policemen, the veterans, the military, the fire service, so anyone on the front line protecting, standing on that wall. And so with that particular archetype has a particular way of being. Okay, so when they leave that wall and they try to reintegrate to the herd, that way of being makes it a challenge to fit in to where they're going. And so there's particular problems, particular language, particular archetypal problems that Sabre Warrior is very, very good at integrating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that's why it's important for the veterans to realize what we do. Okay, we know who you are. We don't know exactly what you've gone through, but we know exactly what you've gone through, right? And that in that dichotomy is where the magic is. If I may, I'd like to go a little technical with courage.
Mm-hmm. That was a great explanation, Adam, I would say, because, sometimes people, they may not understand the process or they may not understand the methodology. So that was really great. And I would request you to explain about courage. We have lots of questionnaire on LinkedIn, but as I said, we have technical difficulties for Restream to show those messages to the screen. And I will point this to the Restream team that the new updates you have done wasn't very good. So please sort this out very quickly, because we do lots of lives and a lot of people are doing lives. So if they are having problems, their life will be ruined. So to our audience, thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. We have Adam and Thomas from Sabre Warrior, and we're going to be discussing more in-depth contribution to the veterans. And Adam, if you could add your explanation for courage, please.
Thank you. So emotional literacy, when we start to learn about emotions, we very quickly stumble across the concept of emotions being emotions, energy, motion. Everything in the universe vibrates, including our emotions. Our emotions are pure energy. Okay. So we experience a spectrum of emotions. We have the low vibration emotions and we have the high vibration emotions. At the low end of the vibrational scale, we have shame. Shame is the densest of emotions experienced by humans. At the very top, we have enlightenment. Okay, very close to peace, joy, love. But at the very top. Now, in the middle, and is the inflection point, is courage. Okay, courage. Now, I want to quickly go through the increasing ranges of emotions leading up to courage. Okay, because everything below courage is contractive. It makes us feel small, fearful, contracted, protective, survival based. Everything above courage is expansive. Okay, means we are open, right? We have willingness. We're being honest with ourselves. Okay, so shame is the densest one, lowest end of the spectrum, followed by guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, and courage. They all increase incrementally up to that tipping point of courage. So if you can imagine somebody in anger, somebody's angry or frustrated if they turn their anger down, or rage if they turn their anger up. If someone who is anger, they may go into pride, which means, no, I'm okay, I'm fine. It's not my fault, it's the system's fault, but I'm fine. So they're tipping into pride. It's not until they get the courage to actually go, well, let me just be neutral here, because neutrality is one above courage. Let me just see. Let me be open. Am I willing to see something from a different perspective? Now they're starting to expand. Okay. So typically, somebody who wants to heal, what we have to do is go to shame immediately. That is the densest of emotions, and we carry that shame out of love from our experiences growing up. So we have to go to shame really quickly, dissolve that, get it back, alchemize it, integrate it, and then they begin to experience the expansive other emotions. The first one, or one of the first ones, is grief, because as soon as they give that back, it uncovers the unmourned grief of their experience. And so we have to coach them through that. And then eventually they start to expand. Now, so that being the technical description of emotions, and anyone who's interested in that, I recommend the work of Dr. Hawkins. And that is, the book itself is, it'll come back to me, but it's to do essentially with the map of consciousness. The Map of Consciousness by Dr. Hawkins. Highly recommend that read. And so to face your shame, to face what Tom called the unshareable truth, that takes courage. Now, when a soldier is in battle going against the enemy, that's not courage, that's bravery. It's a different frequency. It's bound in duty, it's bound in camaraderie, it's bound in patriotism, it's different. So courage is very much a different thing than bravery. That's how I make the distinction. And so I've seen it many times. A veteran will come to us with shoulders slumped, and he speaks in a low voice, and he's kind of saying in a roundabout way through story, I need help. Right? And so he's being courageous by voicing that. That's a courageous act. And that's where we take them pretty much. That's where they come to us. They've been courageous because they've gone to our website, they've submitted the form, apply to attend. That's a courageous act. Because in one part they're admitting that they're not okay. And especially in the military, there's high standards of excellence. And if you fall short of that, then it's not good. And also, if you say to them, I'm struggling with my mental health, they're more than likely to put you out of active duty. So a lot of guys don't want to do that, so they hide it, and they, and then it snowballs from there. I hope that answers your question.
I totally agree with you, and that was a great explanation because, I myself have seen that the same methodology that you have described here, that if you do not have courage, you cannot change your position. You cannot change your, specifically, you cannot change anything that you wanted to achieve. So courage would be the key for your success. Doesn't matter it is mental health related or it is business related or you do personal life, because you have to have courage to face the fear, isn't it? So thank you, Adam and Thomas. Great explanation. So we have some of the question. As I said, I could not show you the question on the restream, but I can read those questions for you. So thank you everyone joining today's live webinar. And you know that we have some technical issues with restream. So this event is live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So if you wanted to ask us any question, you can continue this conversation after this program as well, because Adam and Thomas can contribute to that if you have any specific question. And please spread the word. So if you can spread the word, it will save a lot of people in the community. They are working in army, they are working in fire services, they are working in policing, and a lot of other activities they are doing for the country. They need real help because, as Adam said, that if we have mental health problem, excuse me, sometimes we hide them. And when we hide them, it's not good. So we need to spread the word, Savior Warrior, working for the community and contributing locally, nationally, and globally. So my first question from Asama, thank you for this great webinar. Could you please let me know the importance of asking for help and recognizing it as an act of bravery? So, Adam or Thomas?
Tom?
Yeah, I can have a go, mate. So it's a great question. Thank you. The importance of asking for help is, it's like stepping away from the choice of suffering with whatever it is that you're dealing with. So if there's great strength in asking for help, because it shows that you are aware of the problem that you have on your doorstep as well. Without awareness, you'll keep charging forward, making the same mistakes, and never really getting anywhere. If you have that awareness within yourself to identify that there is a problem, and communicate that outward, that's the first step. And then asking for help, either that from a friend, a trusted colleague, or a professional, within the area which you're experiencing that problem. That's very important. Yeah, always ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. Quite the opposite.
And you know that, Tom, I have seen people that they hesitate to ask help. So in that scenario, I know that you have a methodology. You encourage people to open and ask for help. So if people, they are introverted, mostly there are veterans, they have neurodiversity, and you know that neurodiverse people, they are introverted. So in that scenario, how could you encourage them to be open, to ask for help?
I think that will be quite tricky for me to really hit the nail on the head, because everyone is different. Everyone will present it differently. Regardless of our specialities, and our neurodivergence, how we present, we can all have that awareness about what we're struggling with, what we're finding difficult. and that, once again, that level of courage, okay, that we all have to build up is particular to that person. So if I would just say, just be super honest with yourself. I mean, I couldn't quit drinking until I was honest with myself that I had a problem with alcohol. I couldn't quit smoking until I admitted to myself that I had an addiction to cigarettes. I couldn't break out of the toxic thing that I was doing to myself until I was honest about what it was doing to me, and that I needed help to break free of that. It just turns out that alcohol and cigarettes were just a byproduct of what was going on for me internally, which was childhood trauma and events throughout the military. But if it boils down to awareness, and we've got a fantastic book actually, was in our recommended reading list about awareness. I would love to share that as a link for you after this. I'll put it in the comments of the video. I'll add it in there, because I've listened to that twice through now, and I'm on the third element of I'm on the third pass through now, and it means different things every time I'm passing through. So I'll share that with you about awareness. Okay.
Thank you, Tom and Adam. And with your permission, I just wanted to share your Save Your Warrior website. There are great information out there. So to all the audiences, if you wanted to join the community, you can join. You can see their website here, saveyourwarrior.uk.org, and there are lots of information. You can find it out through their website and through individual sections. So if you wanted to spread the word, it's now for you time to support Save Your Warrior, because they are contributing to the community. You don't know that just one of your support can save someone's life. So I know Thomas for some times now, and I'm knowing Adam as well, and I know their contribution to the community. So it's the time for us to support Save the Warrior, and we're going to be going to our next segment of the program. So they have also a donation section as well. So if anyone wants to donate them for their good causes, please feel free to donate, and it will take you to a different webpage. But if you want to support, you can support. A little bit help, a little bit support will make a big difference. So thank you very much for Tom and Adam. I'm just gonna go to the next questions here. So our next question is from Salahuddin. He said, how can leaders collective a culture of courage within their teams and organizations? So Adam, you want to answer that?
Sure. I think leadership is very much like being a parent. I see the parental role as a leadership role, and I have a saying that we can't tell our children anything; we show them everything. So, in terms of that, I would say that a leader would have to demonstrate courage, and with courage, this is, again, it's in the context. You've got to see a human being isn't an isolated island. We're always an individual in the context of the collective, right? So the collective, the culture, applies so much pressure on individuals to be of a certain standard, in particular when it comes to the capitalist world, business world, military, there's standards, right? And there's a rank structure, and you can go up and you get rewards. You get more money, more status, more titles. So that's in the background of every person. That background applies a lot of pressure on people. And so when it comes to being vulnerable in that type of environment, it's very challenging, because maybe you can put your hand up and go, do you know what? As a leader, I'm struggling. I'm going to take a week off because my mental health is really bad. Well, the board of directors might look at that and go, well, let's get someone who doesn't do that. So immediately what you're doing is you're sacrificing your health, your well-being, because the background of pressure of conforming to a certain standard is so much that you will sacrifice your own health and you will bury it down, and you won't do the courageous thing, which is saying, I need help. And so I want to say that just to add context, that we're not isolated. We're not just people individually going through our mental health struggles and other challenges. We're doing that in the context of a culture, and that culture applies pressure on us. Okay. And so I want to say that just to give context. And so I would also say, to answer the question again, reaffirming here, in order for the business that you find yourself in as a leader, it's all about creating a culture of acceptance of vulnerability, of accepting, asking for help and not holding that against them, right? And that really is up to the leader to do that. And to do that, you have to have strong values. Okay, so if honesty is one of your values, transparency is one of your values, service, mutual support, and whatever those values are, you can't talk about them. You can't just put them on the toilet, on the way to the toilet on the wall, right? You have to then act them out. So it's values times behavior equals culture. And so as a leader, you have to behave in alignment with the values that is stated. And then it will take care of itself after that. Everyone will witness you behaving in line with those values. And that will honestly be enough, because then you're creating a culture, and then people are in that culture and they absorb it and they take it on, rather than talking about it.
Thank you, Adam. To the audiences, thank you very much for your questions. And I hope you are enjoying today's webinar. And we are having lively discussions. We are just nearly end of our session. So we're going to be answering some more questions with you. Adam, what I have seen here, like, okay, we are talking about organizations, we're talking about a lot of other things, but when you have the courage to let your line manager know, like, okay, I am having a problem, maybe mental health problem, the way they see it is not usual, isn't it? The way they picture the frame. For that reason, people used to hide these things. So how do you tell those people or those managers or those line managers, like, okay, person to person will have mental health problems. So if we have mental health problems, then you have to tell, and you have to be easy, and you have to be a culture to understand the situation. So how do you define, or how do you encourage the managers to do that?
Well, again, I think that really comes down to the culture of that organization, and that culture that is initially started and formed with the values that are created by the leadership of that organization. And it has to be in the context. You know what? I say this to the men and women that we support. Not everybody deserves to see you take a knee and be vulnerable. And I want to get that message across real loud and clear. Not every manager is equipped or understands or cares, quite frankly, about your mental health. Maybe, just maybe, because of the culture, they care more about the targets, the KPIs that they've got to hit. And if you're going to him with this problem, then maybe your manager isn't the best person either for the job or for you to express that. But there has to be something within the organization that is neutral ground, non-judgmental, not career-based. It's a place for human connection, human exchange to happen. And for some, it has to be that in every organization, for them to go to that place, connect with another human being, express what they need to express, and have it be received without judgment, right? If you don't have those areas, those spaces, that level of awareness in an organization, then you have to take an honest look at your values of yourself and say, well, how much do I value my own mental health? Because maybe this organization isn't for me. And these are hard truths that we all have to sort of contend with.
I totally agree with you. Yes. When you talk about mental health, when you talk about all other problems, we will have some people. They will not. They do not want to understand that you have a problem. They wanted to force you, and they wanted to like do those works that you don't like, or do those work that is more creating more pressure. So thank you very much, Adam, for your honest answer. And we wanted to change the culture, so that's why we're working. So with New Division Business Consortium, we work to change the culture, because as a human being, we need to understand each other problems and support each other. The way you're supporting to the community, to the veterans, this will create a huge positive impact for future generations. So thank you very much for your contribution. So I will go to the next question from Zakir. Thank you very much, Zakir Khan, for sending this question. What inspired you to define courage in the context of both personal and professional life? To Adam or Thomas?
Tom?
I could have a crack at that, mate. Yeah. So, firstly, thanks for putting up with my technical issues here. I'm hoping it's not been too disturbing for everyone. But essentially, in defining courage, there's a beautiful hour within the 72 hours of Save a Warrior, which essentially helps people fight through those barriers of releasing and letting go of the thing. And when I think back to that specific hour in my own personal experience there, I was asked to sit down and talk and express something that was, incredibly traumatic. And I remember sat there rigid, like I was clenching my hands on my legs so tightly, and my feet were bouncing up and down. I was nervous. I was vibrating. I was so tense. And one of the staff there, one of the the alumni who'd been through the program themselves, said, "Look, just release." And he gave me this little vignette about flying through the flutter, about test pilots for aircraft back in the day that had never been flown at at the limit of what they could do. It was an unknown for the full capability of this aircraft, and they're approaching the speed of sound, never been done before on this particular aircraft, and they're going so fast that the sound's compressing on the nose of the aircraft, and it's starting to vibrate and shake, and the bolts are starting to loosen, etc. But once they punched through that sound barrier and got to the other side of it, everything starts to calm down, and everything became gentle and easy. Now, taking that principle into talking about the thing and courage to do that, once I'd aired it out and I'd spoken it to the men in the room, I relaxed. I loosened off. It wasn't that bad. And the hardest part, when I look back at it in hindsight now, is the leading up to. How many times have we always felt like standing up on stage and talking on that day you wake up and you're tense and you're worrying about that thing and getting up there and talking about it. But actually, when you're up there, you know your stuff. Everyone's smiling and engaging and leaning in and listening, and it's enjoyable. It's a nice process. That for me is a representation of how we can, even within Save a Warrior, break down those courage barriers. And just having awareness of that leading up to an event is important.
Thank you, Tom. It was a great explanation from both of you to understand your work and support us to be courageous and improve our capacity to value ourselves. Because if you do not value ourselves, we cannot exit the situation we are in. I have my own experiences that I suffered from a lot of different things, being a neurodivergent and then having brain tumor surgery, having problem with speech and a lot of other things. But what makes me unique, that to have the courage to support me to become successful. And I think the audiences, they are watching this live webinar, you have to have courage to support you and to see things differently that you are observing now. So thank you very much, Adam and Tom. We have the next question that I wanted to ask. How does community and organizational support contribute to an individual ability to act courageously?
Yeah, and so again, I think that comes down to having an awareness of who are the people around you in your life, in your community, at work, the family, and having people that you know that you can go to within those communities and organizations. We kind of all would hope that everybody and anyone would be able to hold you in a vulnerable expression, but that's just not the case. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's, it could be your wife or your husband that you would hope that you can go to and express something to them, and they'll just be able to hold that without it affecting them and without judging you. That would be wonderful if that was the case. But the truth is, that isn't the case. And so we have to become aware, not just of what it is that we're experiencing at the time, but also aware of who can hold this for me. Who can hold this for me? And it's not going to collapse them. And they're not going to judge me. And they're not going to bring it up in 2 weeks' time and hold it against me or weaponize it against me. Now, that's an important question to answer for everyone. You've got to have at least one of those people in your life. If you don't, then that's going to be a challenge. So find those people, and they can all be in one community. We're very grateful and blessed to have all of those people in one community at Save a Warrior. Any single one of those people, they've gone through rigorous transformation and training. And then in particular, the shepherds come back after 500 days. They come back and they shepherd the next cohort coming through. And those men, they are fully trained. They are fit for service, to be of service. And they hold an inordinate amount of promises for those that express things to them. And we're very blessed to be able to provide that community for others. And it's a community that grows every year. And but don't be under the illusion that everybody can hold what it is that you want them to hold.
Thank you, Adam. We are nearly end of our session. The time passed very quick today. We had a very nice lively discussion. And at the end, I just wanted to ask both of you, first Adam and then Thomas, the key takeaways, like from this conversation, if you wanted to select a couple of key takeaways for our audiences to think about it, and then implement them to their real lives, what would that be?
I would say that my key takeaway would have to be know thyself. It's an old one, but it's a goodie. And it really is awareness, self-awareness, know thyself. And that in itself is a very powerful journey to go on. Who am I? Start with that.
This one, when I was going to my college in Dhaka, there was a big mural over there, and this message was written there: "Know thyself." That changed my world. Knowing myself, that who am I, what can I do, and what I can contribute. So thank you very much. Very, very strong message. Thank you, Adam. Thomas.
He's good, isn't he?
He's very good. He's very good.
Yeah, but and really, for me personally, it's the word honesty. It's the start of how I wouldn't have moved through all of the courageous levels and on all of those acts if I wasn't honest with myself first of all. And it's not honest and communicating with everyone, talking inwards to yourself, be that through meditation, going for a desensitized walk through the woods, just being honest with yourself and identifying what that problem is, and then actually following through to make a change within that. That's where I'd say that's the start of it.
That's fascinating. The way you are working, Adam and Tom. I'll be fortunate to support you because the way you are contributing to the community, I haven't seen like that. So thank you. Appreciate your work, and we will bring some more programs if you have free times in the future. Planning, letting people know, because the more we can talk about it, the more we spread the word, will save a person, and that saving one person will save a nation. You know that because a lot of people they are dying, specifically veterans with suicide, and we need to support them, and as well as to our community. So thank you very much. Please stay to the line. I just wanted to say bye-bye to the audience, and then we'll have a discussion, and then we will end our session together. So thank you. If you wanted to say anything else at the last moment to the audience, please.
Have faith. Keep the faith.
Okay. Thomas.
Please take a look at the website /collaborate for the community compassion. If any of this rings true to you as an individual or as an organization and you're looking to support the saberwarrioruk.org /collaborate URL will be the way in which you can do so.
Thank you, Tom and Adam. Please stay on the line. I will just say bye-bye to the audience and make an announcement. So thank you everyone for joining today's live webinar. We are very fortunate to have Adam and Tom with us today, and we will bring them in near future, specifically talking very specific subject. I just wanted to share you one of the things that is happening in weekend. So you can see that just spare me a minute. So you can see there is a live event from Mindstand Maintenance on the 1st of September at Portsmouth. So anyone at Guildhall, anyone you are watching this program, please feel free to register and support Mindset Maintenance. They are doing great work, and Tom as well as Adam, they are also collaborating. I also support them individually. So if you are looking to join this program, please feel free to join. And thank you very much for joining today's live webinar. It is a pleasure for me to engage with different community and bring them to you to support them as well as create a culture of supporting each other. So I'm very much thankful to you, and I will welcome you to the next episode of NBC next week. And you know that I have my live on Wednesday audio events as well as Friday, as well as regular business development and marketing lives. So if you wanted to join those events, please feel free to see my pages on LinkedIn and other social media. And until then, I will say you thank you and bye bye, and see you next week.